cyclists. This is your bulletin breakdown for April 27th, 2026. We are here with our two contributors, Andrew Blackburn and Thomas Barakat. Gentlemen, I just realized we are about a third of the way into this year, and I have no idea where it came from. So I have one question for you, and I'm pretty sure we're all millennials here, and we've been through a bunch just in our lives alone. But I wanted to ask you, a bunch of years and a bunch of stuff. But I wanted to ask you, what is the one thing that surprised you this year?
Where to begin? The war in Iran, the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro. I don't know, Andrew, I don't want to steal anything from you, but all these random, crazy
I have to
world
actually
events.
answer the question? Like, what surprises me nowadays? Like, I'm numb to the never-ending onslaught of what's going on this year. I have no idea. The funny thing is like, we both have public policy backgrounds. We're both very attuned to the news, but I find it too much sometimes. I had to stop watching John Oliver and Jon Stewart just because I couldn't take the peril and the doom. So it's just like, what surprises me? I don't know.
Well, that's sort of why I brought it up. I mean, we're all millennials here, and we've been through more once-in-a-lifetime incidents than we can count. And not to start this episode off on a down note, but we're a third of the way through the year. I'm just going to leave it at
that. Jared, maybe ask us this again in another few months, and we can give you an updated answer.
Oh my, yes. Yeah. And it'll be much, much worse. Anyway, let's get off that topic. Let's get on to the topics at hand. Everybody knows how this works. We have three interesting and unique news articles. We're going to break them down in 5 minutes with our two contributors here. Gentlemen, are we ready to get going?
Let's do it, Jared.
Ready to love me.
All right. Let's get started with number one. Ontario ministers call on Ottawa to invest in highways 11 and 17. And I know Good Roads has had some comments on this. So, gentlemen, I look forward to hearing your comments and the banter about this. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock, and we're going to get going in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Yeah, I'll get going on this one. So I'm going to start this segment off with a question. So here's a geography question for you guys. What's the only east-west road that stays entirely inside Canada? The answer might surprise you and explain why Ontario is treating two highways as a national security issue. And the answer is 11 and 17. You literally can't drive continuously through Canada without passing through highways 11 or 17. So this is why, and I think it's something that we had talked about with various ministers and party leaders earlier this year. But essentially, what has happened is that the province has decided to ask the federal government to fund these highways. They'd mentioned a few other reasons, but the one that they mentioned and that we had brought up was treating this as a national defense, national security issue, not just an economic or road safety kind of issue. And so a couple of days ago, the Minister of Transportation, Pradmeet Sarkaria, and the Northern Economic Development Minister, George Peary, they sent a formal letter to Federal Minister of Transport, Stephen McKinnon, last week. And they essentially pressed them to accelerate the widening of highways 11 and 17. We know it's not just the widening that needs to happen. It could be 2+1. It just needs to kind of not be what it is now. The province has done, they have been trying to twin it in certain locations, but it's not nearly enough. It's a massive road network. It serves a very, very large geographic area. A lot of it comes from outside of the province and goes through the province. But like I said, it's the only kind of east-west, forms that kind of only east-west route through Canada, which is more important now than ever. So what we're kind of arguing is this should be classified as dual use infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So there's a national security angle, but there's also that kind of economic angle there kind of as well.
Yeah, and this kind of plays upon like we've been trying to take advantage of this federal push for dual use infrastructure and like the part of the like building and like I don't know if this should be qualified as like one of those major projects that they're taking over, and this was definitely a necessary step. We've been talking, we've been among the chorus of groups who've been saying like we need to make changes here with Phonom and Noma and like all of these organizations that are saying like these are roads where our local drivers are dying, big trucks are coming in, and there's these roads shut down for various times throughout the year. So it's like, okay, so what do we do? How do we get some help from the feds? Because this is such an essential area. So, and I was trying to figure out, what's the parameters that they're using for these kind of big projects? Wouldn't this fit the bill? Is this too big, too ambitious for them to to fix this? Because this is something that there's been talks to expand on these roads for decades and decades and decades. Yep. But it never seems to get done because I think it's just like such a big undertaking. So, we're sort of saying, and we encourage the province to take this route because it's like now is the time. Now is the time when we're looking at building these routes. Because like for national security, when the bridge went under, I think the only routes. We're talking about the bridge that failed years ago and cut this country in half. Yep. People had to drive into the United States to get east. So
and a lot of people don't want to do that these days. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. And you talked about 2+1 roads. It's like there are solutions out there to make this easier than just twinning the entire thing. If that's going to set this project back decades and make it take longer, there are times where we can be strategic and we can use twinning or 2+1.
Yes, it's a combination of things. Yeah. The only other thing I'll mention on this is that unfortunately, Minister McKinnon kind of shot it down pretty quick, actually.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, like I'm not sure if you saw it in yesterday's Trillium, but he said, we understand that highways in 11 and 17 play an essential role in connecting Northern Ontario and supporting economic activity across the region, but responsibility for their maintenance, oversight, and ensuring they meet required safety standards rests with the Government of Ontario. So might have to pivot again,
that's a little bit different than what we're asking, though.
maybe we have to go to the Minister David McGuinty, the Federal Minister of National Defense.
Okay. So it sounds like
he was copied on the original letter though from Minister Sakaria and Piri.
Yeah. So, well, in terms of lobbying, it sounds like maybe we should redirect to Minister McGuinty in this particular. Because there's something that isn't addressed there. It's like the national security angle, the defense angles. Is like I think that's going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, but maybe from a purely transportation perspective, okay, maybe that makes a good decent point there. But from a national defense perspective,
well, hey man, there's this is an economic lifeline through the entire country. Like that's a federal interest. So
all right, gentlemen. All right. Just like Minister McKinnon, I'm going to be shutting down this conversation. So that we can move on to the next one, but good discussion there. Unfortunately, the feds have shut us down again. Seems like an easy win. Anyway, moving on to the next topic.
Not that easy, Jared. It would cost probably billions of dollars. So anyway,
what's a billion?
Oh, we could talk about this all day, but let's move on to the next topic. Ontario municipalities are pushing the province to take back key infrastructure. So we went from the feds down to the municipalities and the province. So we're going to put 5 minutes back on the clock. Gentlemen, are we ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go in 3, 2, 1.
All right. So I mean, I don't have to tell any of our listeners this, but we all know that throughout the 90s, and I think even just very early 2000s, lots of downloading happened. It really cash-strapped a lot of municipalities. It's part of the reason why municipalities are in a very terrible fiscal situation now, because they have assets that they can't afford to maintain, and they don't have the proper financial tools to do so. I will say this. So the current government has, well, actually, I'd say successive governments since the Mike Harris government did this back then have kind of moved to reverse it in one way or another. I know the Liberals had kind of increased transfers to municipalities while they're in their time in office. The Ford government right now, there's kind of been this interesting trend where municipalities are asking them to upload, maybe just like a blanket upload of certain assets, but they're kind of negotiating it on a case by case basis. The biggest and most obvious one was the one that Toronto had negotiated with the province a few years ago. They called it the New Deal, and they essentially uploaded some of the the major highways going through Toronto that are serviced by that are used by a lot of people who do not actually live in Toronto. So we saw something similar happen in Ottawa, where the province had agreed to upload the O train and Highway 174. This kind of made the news again this week because the premier was in Ottawa and spoke with Mayor Sutcliffe. They were kind of reiterating that this is going to happen. Before it was kind of more they said they were going to. Now it's kind of there's a recommitment to it, and this is going to save Ottawa probably about $85 million a year, which translates to roughly $4 billion over 30 years, which is pretty significant for a municipality. Ottawa is one of the bigger municipalities, obviously, in the province, but still, that's a lot of savings. The city of St. Thomas, along with the city of London and Elgin County, now they're asking the province to take back a 21-kilometer stretch of Highbury Avenue. So this was originally Highway 126 before it was downloaded back to them back in the 90s. So there seems to be a pattern here. Municipalities are asking, and the province is listening. In certain cases, they're not uploading the assets formally, but they're agreeing to fund the specific assets. And we saw this happen in Prince Edward County, and that was County Road 49, which was one of the CAA's worst roads of the year, I think three years ago, I believe. And the same thing happened, I think, with there was a bridge in Iroquois Falls, which the municipality basically said, we can't maintain this. We can't afford to fix a bridge. This is going to be our entire operating budget.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting to see how this would play out because, these are very, very different cases. Like the Toronto, they were taking over the big highways, very, very important regionally, and I feel like they were like, okay, well, we can't leave out Ottawa. So I'll be very interested to see how it would take how this sort of plays out on from like a smaller municipality like St. Thomas, because it's there is no parameters for re-uploading. It's really like you said, it's really just on a case by case basis. Highway 174. That kind of makes sense because it's if you actually look at it, not to bring Highway 17 back into the conversation, but it's Highway 17 comes down. When you hit Arnprior, it becomes the 417. Yeah. And the 417 carries through. And then once the 417 kind of dips on the east side of Ottawa, 174 continues east through Gloucester and Orleans. And then all of a sudden, as soon as you hit the the Ottawa border, it becomes Highway 17 again. It's it just sort of feels like an extension of Highway 17 in certain respects. So it makes sense. The O train, though, there's definitely not a precedent for this in the past. So it'll be very, very interesting. Metrolinx does not run any municipal train services, and they do
the GO train.
Yeah, so it'll be very, very interesting how this plays out operationally.
But Andrew, you might remember that a few years ago, the province had mused about uploading the TTC to the province. I think there was a lot of pushback there, and they decided not to go through with it. So we could, if this works out, is there another conversation about that potentially happening again in the future?
No, exactly. I was thinking about that exactly. It's just it's one of those things where it's just once it actually starts running, is there a case going forward to continuing? Is that and that sort of things is is that Metrolinx's job? Is that what we want Metrolinx to do? There's definitely an argument for and against that. Of course, that's a different conversation, but we've got 5 minutes.
I'll say this. I know we're already over time here, but one thing I'll just add, I'll finish off with this. It would be nice if there was some sort of framework that could be used, an assessment framework to decide whether an asset should be uploaded or not. We have developed one actually internally, just based on what we think would be an appropriate kind of standards or requirements to qualify for an upload. But I would love to see if the province has something similar to that.
Yeah, maybe we should run all these cases through our own privately developed uploading framework and see what they say.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Good roads working for you, and probably something to bring to the province at one point or another. That was a good discussion, gentlemen. Good stuff from municipalities. Hopefully, good news in the future because. Uploading would definitely help out with budgets and keeping our infrastructure up to code. Anyway, let's move on to the next and final topic at hand. This one seems just rife with controversy, so we'll see how it goes. Japan is cracking down on cyclists. As two people who've been to Japan, I'm sure you have very interesting takes on this. So let's put 5 minutes on the clock, and we're going to try and keep it within 5 minutes, gentlemen. Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Got our thoughts all planned out. We got 5 minutes. We're gonna budget this time properly. No, probably not. All right, 5 minutes on the clock, just for argument's sake. We're gonna get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So last year, Japan passed some legislation to introduce this new blue ticket system to crack down on cyclist infractions. So as of the start of April, the policy took effect in essence, and the police were out in full force, giving cyclists tickets for 113 different cycling violations. I was trying to get a list of the full 113, but I couldn't really find it. But there are all sorts of things that cyclists are now getting ticketed for, including holding an umbrella while riding their bike. This is a very, very common practice in Japan because it's a very rainy country. But also just like, if your bell doesn't work, or if you're riding with one hand, or if you're not putting your foot on the ground at a stop sign before actually proceeding, the bicycle version of a rolling stop, you can get tickets for all of these things.
Yeah, wearing headphones and carrying unevenly loaded cargo.
Yeah. We think about that. Like and the article that we're quoting talks about your grocery bags. I'd be very interested to see how this actually plays out on an enforcement angle, because I've seen I've seen people carrying very big loads on their bikes before. I'm assuming that's probably targeting that, but they're targeting all sorts of things that they perceive as safety hazards. Like even riding side by side on a bike is a safety hazard. It's like sure, these are all practices, but should they be making them illegal now? That's essentially what this is putting in effect. It's now it's illegal to ride side by side. It's illegal to ride with only one hand on your bike. It just seems like very, very extreme, especially since the total number of cyclists has fallen, and the number of accidents has fallen. But there's an important to note that the incidence with cyclists and pedestrians has gone up. Now, I actually think this has got 100% to do with smartphones, and just like the distracted driving affects cyclists and motorists the same way. And I think that's the big crux over the last few years.
So you think that the cyclists are on their cell phones, or the pedestrians are on their cell phones?
No, the cyclists are on their cell phones.
Really?
100%. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you see that? I've never. I don't. Well, when I ride my bike, I can barely even
Yeah. No. I think they are. It's just like distracted cycling. It's just like, and that's I think that's like the one hand they got their phone on the thing, and they say that if you have your phone on a mount and you're using it for
recording and
they're not going to be ticketing you for that.
Okay. It's kind of like the hands-free option when you're driving, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Now the big thing is I think what's going to have the biggest factor, in my own personal opinion, is they don't want people driving on the sidewalks. Now, the article talks about there's not they talk about cycling infrastructure, and they say like 51 kilometers of cycling infrastructure in Tokyo. I'm going to use my words very closely here. There is actually much less than that, because most of this architecture is sharrows, and paint is not architecture. The large majority of the cycling infrastructure that does exist in Japan is not separated bike lanes. It's not, anything with any sort of safety.
Right.
And a lot of those sharrows are on very busy roads. I mean, we like to think Japan has a ton more, a lot more cyclist activity, and that's very, very true. But they are, and we also think that, like, oh yes, their train system is phenomenal. But this is still a country of car loving motorists. They love it, and there's a lot of shared space between this. But like, a lot of those sharrows are on extremely busy roads, and they are terrifying. And if I was cycling in Japan, I would avoid them as much as possible.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's that same kind of dilemma that we have all over the world. Is that like how do you keep enforcing this when there's not the proper infrastructure for the cyclists? You're trying to encourage people to not use their car, but then you're also penalizing them in a way. You do want to keep pedestrians safe. That's not, there's no question there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a bit heavy-handed. I mean, you spent much more time in Japan than
well. The thing is, like, if you look at them on the letters, it's like a lot of these things are things that, in theory, you should be ticketing motorists for, and that's kind of like the mentality behind it. And just like I'll finish up the thought. Again, it's just like when you go there, you see people driving on the sidewalk, and like they seem to be pretty in tune with each other. But it's the bad actors that are causing accidents.
As usual. Whenever new rule is made, it's always for the bad actors.
No, exactly. And it's just like it's going to be targeting everybody equally, but hopefully this actually has an effect on those bad actors. And I think it's, again, like I said, it's like I think a lot of the increase that between this increase between cell phones and cyclists and pedestrians it's got to be linked to cell phones. And I think this is recent in the years where cell phone use has like skyrocketed. So I think there's definitely a link there.
All right, let's end it there. Before we do, I do have to agree with you, Andrew, about the cell phones and cyclists. Every once in a while on my YouTube algorithm, it'll pop up with like Uber Eats guys in New York on their bikes, and they've got the food in one hand and they're looking down at the cell phone in the other, trying to figure out where they're going as they're weaving through traffic. But I mean, again, bad actors, and it just seems like the government's got a thought process of the beatings will continue until morality increases.
So, morale until morale improves.
Not morality. But excellent discussions, gentlemen. 3 great topics. Very, very relevant. Very, very good to discuss. So let's end it there. We're going to wrap it up with our something fun section. And just like last week, Thomas has something to rant about. And we're just hearing it for the first time. So you're getting our live reactions along with his rant. So, Mr. Thomas, take it away, sir.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jared. So what I want to talk about this week or just bring up is the FIFA World Cup taking place in Canada, the US, and Mexico. Beginning in less than 2 months, actually, June 12th is Canada's opening game. Now, for those of you, I know the two of you are not big soccer fans. I wouldn't say I'm a big soccer fan, football fan. But I do like these international tournaments, and I was kind of excited that, okay, it's going to be happening in Canada. The World Cup is the most watched sporting event in the world, right? So FIFA was releasing some last-minute tickets this week, and I said to myself, I wasn't successful earlier on in any of these lotteries to buy the tickets. It's like, why don't I see? I'm just out of curiosity. So the other day I logged on, and after about 3 hours of being in the waiting room, I go to see what's available, and the cheapest tickets in Toronto at BMO Field, or what they're calling Toronto Stadium because of licensing rights or whatever. Cheapest seats, $1,300 for the Canada-Bosnia game, which is the opening game for Canada. I guess it's the first World Cup game, I'm assuming, to take place on Canadian soil. I'm not sure if that's true, but first one in our lifetimes for sure. $1,300 per ticket, guys. So if you want to go with one person, that's over. You're spending like $2,600.
Is that backs against the wall?
Yeah, it's like in the back corner, like in the top, like upper bowl there. Absolutely insane.
I was thinking these were going to be better seats than that. That's hilarious.
No, that's the point.
How much were seats that you can actually see?
Like double or triple that. I'm not even joking. Yeah. It's absolutely insane. The other thing I did was I'm like, oh, let me see, because Canada only plays one game in Toronto and they play 2 games in Vancouver. So when I looked at BC Place, Canada versus Switzerland, you can get tickets for a cheap $700 there, cheapest seats I could find.
Wow!
So we're getting fleeced again in the GTA in Ontario.
Yeah.
FIFA, the most corrupt organization, especially in the sporting world, but I hate FIFA. Fire. FIFA sucks. It's not fun.
And did you have to go through Ticketmaster to get these tickets?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, at least you didn't have to deal with that.
Get this. FIFA set up their own marketplace for reselling tickets, so that if someone buys a ticket, they get a cut, and then they get it again basically I guess that's what Ticketmaster does. Yeah. But then they make money off the resale as well. So they're just finding new ways to make money off.
So with the new anti-scalping legislation, so this should make it a little bit better. So I was reading this online because at first they were going to say the FIFA tickets were going to be exempt, and then I don't know if there was backlash against that, probably from this exact same sentiment, but they were added. They were mentioned that they were going to be good to the cap, so that's nice.
Yeah. And I'm glad that legislation became law. I think yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
It's good to have that.
It was kind of funny. I just bought tickets for the Strokes at RBC Stadium, like the outdoor stage used to be called Budweiser Field. The tickets were outrageous. Like we're talking like $400. Like all the $200 tickets in the outskirts were gone in like the pre-sales. They just pretty much immediately. And then I was looking 2 days ago at the the resales were all up there, and this is like, you couldn't get anything for like less than $300 except for like the lawn, which is just sitting in the back. And there was a bunch of resale tickets peppered about. And then once this legislation came through, they were all delisted. They're all gone. So now all of those people who had tried to make money off of their tickets, now they have to relist for what they paid for it. So good luck.
Even with the legislation and everything like that, it feels like live events are pricing themselves out. I mean, like the Maple Leafs have been forever ridiculously priced. Thomas and I, we used to go to the Leafs Coyotes games, and backs against the wall were $120. And
I've lived in Ontario since 2014, and I've never been to a Leafs game because the tickets are outrageous. I've been to a Raptors game, I've been to a Blue Jays game, multiple, but never a Leafs game.
But that's the thing. Like even Raptors, back in the early 2000s, my brother and I used to go to Raptors games, and we'd sit courtside for $70. And
actually, that's an important note. I went to the Raptors games when I first moved to Ontario when they sucked and the tickets were cheap, and then they got good, and then they became.
I mean, like, come on, you got Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Junkyard Dog. They were entertaining. I'll give them that, and they always tried. Blue Jays up until a couple of years ago were very decently priced seats, and then a couple of years ago, anything in the 100s is easily $150. I wanted to take my kids this year.
I went to a bunch of Blue Jays games where the tickets were cheaper than the beer.
Yeah. I wanted to take my kids this year, and a 500 level, like furthest back, are starting at $70.
Yeah, no fun.
When did having fun have to become so expensive?
Well, I think this is part of the reason. So as a Hamiltonian, we're going to be getting a new hockey team. The 3 name options are going to be out. I'm a little sad that they're changing it from just for the listeners who don't follow Hamilton and AHL news, the Bridgeport Islanders, a farm team for the New York Islanders, are coming to Hamilton to become the team that plays in our new TD Coliseum. They're looking at calling them either the Hamilton Mustangs, Havoc, or Hammer. And I got to say, the Hamilton Hammer is kind of a silly name, guys. Some people are just saying we should just keep them as the Islanders because they got that awesome retro New York Islanders logo. So that's like, I think a lot of, I think a lot of people are excited. It's like, oh, finally there's a hockey game I can afford to
buy
tickets.
Well, that's the thing. Like Brantford, we got your Bulldogs, and to go further back, that they came from Belleville, and I grew up in Belleville watching the Bulls, so it's nice to have them. They're in the OHL conference finals right now against Barrie, and those tickets are all fantastically cheap, and it's fun hockey to watch. And
good for the Bulldogs.
Yeah. So I mean, we might be going down to like less high level sports or shows or events or things like that, but I mean they're still very entertaining, very good.
And I think a lot of people are going, like I don't know, I've never been to a Marlies game, but I've like a lot of people, I think a lot of people are going to those now. And there's the new the Toronto Scepters. Is that the PWHL team, I believe?
Yes, I believe so.
I heard a rumor on the internet Hamilton might even be getting rumor. They're looking at Hamilton for a potential PWHL expansion team. So if there's the market for it, people can't afford to go to Leafs games, so they want to watch hockey. Right?
Well, honestly, if these pro sports are going to price themselves out like that, like really mess with the core fans and everything like that.
Well, I mean, this is when we can start talking about how bad the Leafs are and how management doesn't care how good the team is, because they'll always sell tickets to no matter what. But hey, isn't there a little bit of prestige about a winning team?
Well, I even with the Leafs prices, I still don't think if they were winning, it would be worth it. I mean, they're ridiculously priced.
Yeah.
But anyway, if they price themselves out, I honestly don't care anymore. Get out there, support your local teams, your local artists if you're listening to music, and who knows, maybe you'll be at the concert when your one of these smaller venues and smaller groups blows up and becomes huge, and you can say, "Hey, I was there."
Yeah.
So moral of the story: I hate you, FIFA. If you want to sponsor our podcast and give us a few freebies, we love you, and we'll have you on the pod.
We've sold our souls for less. All right, let's wrap it up there before we sell our souls for anything else. Gentlemen, thank you for your contributions and breaking down these subjects. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, Municipal Pavement Condition Assessment and Rehabilitation, that course is May 11th to May 13th. There are a few spots left. Definitely get in there. It has been a harsh winter that was very, very rough on our roads. I know driving around, I've seen a ton of potholes, and not just in the cities, but on the highway as well. You want to get out there. You want to know what you're looking for and how to fix it. This course, go to goodroads.ca/education, look for it. Definitely get in on that. It'll help you out immensely, I promise. Guelph Road School is going on when this podcast takes place. If you missed it, our online courses have a couple of Guelph Road School courses. They're fantastic for, actually, some of them are required for your A or CRS. Check those out again, goodroads.ca/education. And if you're watching us on YouTube, leave us a comment, subscribe. I noticed a lot of you are not subscribed. It helps us with the algorithm, helps us get the message out there. And until next time, everybody, take it easy.